Welcome, everyone, to the very first episode of 3D Deep Dive Dialogues. I am so excited to be kicking off our brand new YouTube channel
Yes.
by diving into a topic that's been
Absolutely.
really creating a buzz in the health world,
Yeah.
the surprising power of baking soda.
It's definitely captured a lot of attention, and for good reason. There's some fascinating research emerging about its potential to tackle chronic inflammation.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, when we hear inflammation,
Right.
we think about a sprained ankle or a swollen bug bite, that
Yeah.
temporary kind of thing. But this chronic inflammation,
Right.
the kind that baking soda might be able to help with,
Yes.
that's a whole different beast, isn't it?
It is. Think of acute inflammation, the
Yeah.
kind you just mentioned, like a helpful fire that burns bright and then dies down. It's your body's natural response to injury or infection, sending in immune cells to repair and protect. But chronic inflammation, that's more like a smoldering fire that never goes out, constantly damaging tissues and organs over time.
So instead of being a short-term protector, it becomes this kind of internal saboteur.
Precisely, and it's linked to a whole host of health problems, from joint pain and heart disease to even some types of cancer. What's tricky is that it can be silent for years, causing damage without any obvious symptoms.
Okay, so that's a little scary.
Right.
So this is where baking soda supposedly comes in.
Yeah.
But it seems so simple.
Well,
So every day,
Right.
how can something that we use for baking cookies possibly fight this invisible fire of chronic inflammation?
The key lies in its effect on the body's pH balance. You see, our bodies function best within a very specific pH range, slightly alkaline, but our modern diets and lifestyles often tilt us towards a more acidic state,
Okay.
and that's where chronic inflammation can take hold.
So it's like our internal environment is out of whack, and that sets the stage for this low-grade inflammation to simmer away.
Exactly. Now, baking soda is naturally alkaline when you drink it dissolved in water. It reacts with stomach acid to create a weak base that enters the bloodstream. And here's the fascinating part. This subtle shift in pH seems to have a ripple effect on the immune system,
Okay.
calming those overactive inflammatory responses.
I see. So it's not like baking soda is directly attacking the inflammation.
Right.
But it's more about creating an environment where those inflammatory fires can't burn so intensely.
You got it. Studies from Yale, for example, have shown that even small shifts in pH can significantly impact the function of immune cells. Specifically, it affects these cells called macrophages, which are like the Pac-Man of the immune system, gobbling up invaders and debris.
Oh, I can picture that.
Yeah.
So when the pH is more acidic, these macrophages go into overdrive, causing more inflammation.
Exactly. They become hyperactive, almost frantically trying to clean up a mess that doesn't necessarily need that level of response. Baking soda helps to dial down their activity, bringing things back into balance.
Okay, so baking soda is like a calming influence on these overzealous macrophages,
Yes.
preventing them from causing too much collateral damage.
Yes.
But sometimes I get heartburn and I take an antacid, which is also alkaline. Does that have the same effect?
That's a great question. Antacids primarily work in the stomach to neutralize acid, providing quick relief from heartburn.
Okay.
While they might temporarily affect pH, their effect is localized and short-lived.
Okay.
Baking soda, on the other hand, seems to exert a more systemic and lasting effect on the body's overall pH balance.
So it's about more than just neutralizing stomach acid.
Yeah.
It's about influencing the whole internal environment, kind of like fine-tuning the system.
That's a great way to put it. And this fine-tuning seems to impact more than just those macrophages we talked about. Research from Harvard Medical School has actually discovered that baking soda directly interacts with certain receptors in our cells called NLRP3 inflammasomes.
NLRP3, that sounds a bit intimidating.
It is a mouthful.
Break that down for me.
Yes.
What are these things?
Imagine them as tiny alarm bells inside our cells. When they're triggered, they set off a cascade of inflammatory responses. Now, in a healthy system, these alarms are important for fighting off real threats.
Yeah.
But with chronic inflammation, they're essentially stuck in the on position, constantly sounding the alarm even when there's no real danger.
So it's like a faulty smoke detector going off all the time, even if there's no fire.
Exactly.
That would drive me crazy.
I know. And that's where baking soda steps in.
Okay.
It appears to reset these NLRP3 inflammasomes, essentially silencing the false alarms and preventing that excessive inflammation at its root.
That's pretty incredible.
It is.
So it's almost like baking soda is speaking the language of our cells
Yes.
and telling them to calm down.
Calm down.
But what's even more amazing,
Right.
and this is where I start to get really curious, is this idea that baking soda might have a memory effect on the immune system.
That's right. And it's an area of ongoing research that has a lot of scientists excited. Studies from the Max Planck Institute for Immunobiology suggest that even after you stop taking baking soda, the positive effects on the immune system can linger.
Wait, so it's not just a temporary fix.
Right.
It's like it's teaching the immune system to behave differently, even without baking soda constantly present.
That's the idea. It seems like the immune system learns a new, calmer way of responding thanks to baking soda's influence, and that new balance sticks around even after you stop taking it.
Wow, so it's not just about putting out the fire, it's about preventing the fire from starting in the first place.
I like that analogy.
This is all so fascinating.
Yeah.
But I know there's another piece of the puzzle here, the gut.
Yes.
We've heard so much about the gut-immune connection in recent years, so how does that tie into this baking soda story?
It's a crucial connection. You see, the gut is home to trillions of bacteria collectively known as the gut microbiome. And this microbiome plays a huge role in immune function. About 80% of our immune system actually resides in the gut.
80%, that's a majority shareholder right there.
It is.
So keeping our gut healthy is absolutely essential for managing inflammation, right?
Absolutely. And guess what?
I have a feeling you're going to say baking soda seems to have a positive effect on gut health as well.
You got it.
Okay, so spill the beans.
Okay.
How does it work? It's magic in the gut.
Remember how we talked about baking soda balancing pH throughout the body?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that same principle applies in the gut.
Okay.
It helps to create an environment where beneficial bacteria can thrive, while discouraging the growth of harmful bacteria.
So it's like creating the right conditions for a healthy gut garden where the good bugs can flourish and the bad bugs struggle to take root.
Exactly. A study from the University of Heidelberg, for instance, found that just 2 weeks of regular baking soda consumption led to significant improvements in the composition of the gut microbiome.
That's amazing. So a healthier gut means a stronger immune system, which means less inflammation overall.
Yes.
It's all connected, isn't it?
It really is, and there's even more to it. The lining of your gut, which acts as a barrier between your digestive system and the rest of your body,
Right.
can become damaged over time, leading to what's often called leaky gut.
Leaky gut. Okay, that doesn't sound good.
No.
What happens when this barrier is compromised?
Think of it as the first line of defense against pathogens and toxins that you ingest. When it's damaged, those harmful substances can leak into the bloodstream, triggering widespread inflammation throughout the body.
So it's not just about what's happening inside the gut. It's about making sure that gut wall is strong
Yeah.
and doing its job as a protector.
Precisely. And here's the good news. Research from the German Institute for Nutritional Research has shown that baking soda can actually help strengthen and repair this gut lining.
So it's like baking soda is reinforcing the fortress walls of the gut.
Yes.
Making sure it can effectively keep those inflammatory invaders at bay. I mean, we've only talked about inflammation so far,
Yeah.
but I'm starting to get a feeling that baking soda might be a multi-talented player in the world of health.
You're absolutely right, and that's where things get even more interesting. Research on baking soda is constantly evolving, and scientists are uncovering potential benefits that extend far beyond inflammation. But I think it's time we move on to part 2 of our deep dive,
Okay.
to explore some of those other fascinating areas where baking soda might make a difference.
All right. I am ready
Yeah.
to go even deeper into this baking soda rabbit hole.
Let's do it.
What other areas of health is this wonder powder being studied for?
Well, let's start with something that affects a lot of us as we age: joint health.
Uh-huh.
You know how we talked about chronic inflammation being the silent destroyer?
Right.
It turns out it plays a big role in osteoarthritis,
Oh, yeah.
which is a leading cause of joint pain and disability.
Oh, I know osteoarthritis all too well. My grandmother had it,
Mm.
and it really limited her mobility in later years.
Right.
So are you saying that baking soda might actually help prevent or manage this condition?
That's what some research suggests. A study from the German Center for Space Research, of all places.
Wow, space research.
I know, right?
And baking soda. That's an unexpected pairing.
It is.
But I'm definitely interested to hear more about how this simple kitchen staple could help us keep our joints healthy as we age. What else have scientists uncovered about baking soda's potential?
Another area that's really fascinating is brain health. We already touched on neuroinflammation, which is essentially chronic inflammation in the brain.
Right.
And it turns out this neuroinflammation is linked to a whole range of cognitive and mental health issues.
Okay, so we're talking about things like brain fog, memory problems, mood swings.
Yeah.
maybe even more serious conditions like Alzheimer's.
Exactly. And while the exact mechanisms are still being studied,
Okay.
research from institutions like Ludwig Maximilian University of Munich and the Max Delbruck Center for Molecular Medicine
Oh.
suggests that baking soda's anti-inflammatory effects might extend to the brain as well.
So could we be talking about baking soda as a potential brain booster,
Potentially.
helping to protect against cognitive decline and maybe even improve mental well-being?
It's too early to make definitive claims, but the research is promising. And it makes sense when you consider that chronic inflammation is a major driver of many chronic diseases, and the brain is certainly not immune to its damaging effects.
Well, I have to say, the more we learn about baking soda,
I know.
the more intriguing it becomes.
Right.
We've covered inflammation, gut health, joint health,
Us.
and now even brain health. Is there anything this stuff can't do?
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves while the research is exciting.
Yeah,
It's important to remember that baking soda is not a cure-all,
right.
and more research is always needed to confirm these potential benefits and understand the optimal ways to use it. But speaking of using it, I know you're probably wondering how someone can safely incorporate baking soda into their daily routine.
You read my mind. We've been diving deep into the science, but now I want to get practical. What are the key takeaways for our listeners who are intrigued by all of this and want to give it a try?
First and foremost, it's crucial to use pharmaceutical-grade baking soda.
Okay.
This ensures you're getting a pure product without any additives that aren't meant for internal consumption.
Okay, so a trip to the pharmacy is in order, not just grabbing the baking soda from the baking aisle.
Exactly.
Got it. What about dosage? Where do we start?
A good starting point is a quarter of a teaspoon of pharmaceutical-grade baking soda dissolved in a large glass of water.
And when is the best time to drink this concoction?
Ideally, first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. This allows for optimal absorption and minimizes the chances of any interactions with food.
So a little baking soda ritual to start the day sounds simple enough. Anything else we need to keep in mind?
Yes, it's essential to make sure the baking soda is completely dissolved before drinking it.
Okay.
And don't gulp it down all at once. Sip it slowly over a few minutes.
Got it. Dissolve thoroughly and sip mindfully.
Now, can we increase the dosage over time, or should we stick with that quarter teaspoon?
You can gradually increase to half a teaspoon, but always listen to your body and see how you feel. Everyone responds differently, so it's about finding what works best for you.
That's always good advice, especially when we're talking about making changes to our health routines. Now, I know we touched on potential interactions earlier.
Right.
What should people be aware of before adding baking soda to their regimen?
It's always wise to consult with your doctor,
Okay.
especially if you have any pre-existing conditions.
Right.
Are taking medications or are pregnant. They can help you assess if baking soda is a good fit for you
Yeah.
and advise on any potential interactions.
Absolutely. Personalized medical advice is essential.
Yeah.
Now, I remember you mentioned something about taking breaks from baking soda. Why is that recommended?
We generally advise a 2-week break after 3 months of regular use.
Okay.
This allows your body's natural regulatory mechanisms to kick back in and do their thing.
Yeah.
So it's like giving your body a little vacation from the baking soda, a chance to recalibrate and find its own balance.
Exactly. It's all about finding that sweet spot between supporting your body and allowing its natural processes to function optimally. Now, I want to emphasize that baking soda, when used correctly,
Okay.
has an excellent safety profile. A study from the University of Maine's confirmed this,
Okay.
finding no adverse effects in individuals who consumed baking soda regularly over an extended period.
That's reassuring. It's not like we're talking about some risky experimental treatment here. It's baking soda.
Right, something most of us already have in our pantry. But as with anything, moderation is key now. I know you're eager to hear about those long-term studies we mentioned.
You bet I am.
Yeah.
We've talked about all these exciting possibilities, but do those benefits actually hold up over time?
That's the million-dollar question, and thankfully we have some answers. A 2-year follow-up study with regular baking soda users showed some very encouraging results. Participants experienced significant improvements in inflammation markers. Their gut flora remained stable and balanced, and they reported a noticeable reduction in chronic complaints overall.
Wow, that's impressive. So it's not just a quick fix. It seems to have real staying power in terms of improving overall health and well-being.
That's what the research suggests, and it really starts to paint a picture of baking soda as more than just a simple household item. It might just be a powerful ally in the fight against chronic inflammation and a valuable tool for supporting overall health and longevity.
It's truly remarkable to think that something so simple and affordable could have such a profound impact on our well-being.
It is.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
Have.
From the science behind baking soda's effects to practical tips for incorporating it into our lives.
Yes.
And honestly, I'm walking away from this deep dive with a whole new appreciation for this humble ingredient. What stands out to you from all of this?
What fascinates me is this intricate web of connections within the human body.
Yeah.
The way pH balance, the immune system, the gut microbiome, and even brain health all seem to be influenced by something as simple as baking soda.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reminder that even small changes sometimes, using things we already have on hand, can have a ripple effect throughout our entire system.
I couldn't agree more. It's a testament to the power of nature and the importance of paying attention to even the seemingly mundane things in our kitchens. Baking soda, who knew, right?
Right. It's a classic example of don't underestimate the simple things.
Well, folks, this has been an incredible deep dive into the world of baking soda. Who would have thought we'd be spending an entire episode talking about the amazing powers of this humble kitchen ingredient?
I know, it's been a journey.
But before we wrap up,
Huh?
I want to invite you all to share your thoughts and experiences with baking soda. Have you tried it for any of the things we've discussed?
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments.
We would love to hear from you and learn from your experiences after all the best deep dives
Absolutely.
are the ones we take together.
So true. Well, on behalf of 3D Deep Dive Dialogues, thank you so much for joining us on this inaugural deep dive into the surprising world of baking soda.
It's been a pleasure exploring with you.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell,
Yes.
and we'll see you in the next episode.
See you then.
Until then, keep those minds curious and those baking soda supplies stocked.
Until next time.